Hello, my name is Jim. Welcome to my Booktube channel. In this video I want to talk to you about Dombey and Son by Charles Dickens. Yes, I have finally finished it. I started this book back in August and now in October I finally read the last page. It's a great book. I'm a slow reader. 2 months is a long time for me to read a book, but for the first readers of Dombey and Son it would have taken them 18 months. This is because Dombey and Son was published serially over a long period from 1846 to 1848. Dombey and Son is the story of Paul Dombey, a successful businessman. The son of the title is more of an abstract concept. It's this idea that Dombey and Son has been going on for generations and will continue for generations after. Paul Dombey is looking for a son and heir for his business. The earth was made for Dombey and Son to trade in, and the sun and moon were made to give them light. Paul Dombey is rigid, aloof, and proud. He is very much a victim of his time, the Victorian ideal of a male. His first child is a girl, a daughter, Florence, who he ignores and even despises because she is a girl and daughters are of no consequence to Dombey and Son. The second child is a boy, Paul Dombey Jr., if you like, but he's a frail child. He's wise beyond his years, but he's not in good health. Charles Dickens may have seen something of himself in Paul Dombey. Charles Dickens' relations with his wife and with his children was not a very good one. If her father is a typical Victorian gentleman, by contrast, Florence is the typical Victorian female, the ideal Victorian female. She's hardworking, she's virtuous, she's diligent. If she has a flaw, it's that she feels guilty when she has no reason to feel guilty. Florence has a very lonely childhood. She yearns for her father's love. Her mother died shortly after the birth of her baby brother. She has her brother, Paul. She has a dog, Diogenes, and there's her maidservant, her loyal maidservant, Susan Nipper, but this is all. It's a very lonely existence for Florence, and she yearns for her father's love, but he cannot. In the novel, Charles Dickens tackles many different themes. The theme of loneliness, the theme of parent-child relationships. The parent-child relationships in this book are not good. Some of the better relationships in families are between extended family, like Walter and his uncle Solomon Gills, or between Florence and her stepmother Edith. There are many strong female characters in Dombey and Son. This is Dickens' 7th novel and there's more depth to his female characters than ever before. As well as Florence, there's her maid Susan Nipper, who at one point stands up to Paul Dombey for his neglect of his daughter, at great personal cost to herself. There's the second wife, Edith, who realises that the lot of the woman in Victorian England was not a very good one, and she marries Paul Dombey, but not through love, but through necessity, because she's poor, and her mother is forcing this upon her. As with all of Dickens' novels, there's a vast array of characters in this novel. We can see in some the prototypes of future characters, like Cleopatra Skewton, Mrs. Cleopatra Skewton, Edith's mother. This could be seen as a prototype for Miss Havisham in Great Expectations. In the villain, we have James Carker with his sycophancy and his sliminess. This reminds me a lot of Uriah Heep in the following novel, which is David Copperfield. David Copperfield being Dickens' favourite and his most autobiographical novel. I envy James Kirker's teeth. 2 unbroken rows of glistening teeth whose regularity and whiteness was quite distressing. My own are discoloured and very uneven. James Kirker's teeth are often mentioned throughout the novel. I enjoyed the character Susan Nipper. At first she was quite objectionable and loud-mouthed, sharp-tongued, but she showed her loyalty to Florence, and she stood up for Florence in front of Florence's father, Paul Dombey. This would have been quite scandalous at the time, a servant standing up to the master, and Paul Dombey is quite flustered by the encounter. Another character I loved was Captain Cuttle. Captain Cuttle, with his hook hand, is in fear of his landlady, the formidable Mrs. McStinger, and is always looking around to see if she's in the vicinity. He's a very comic character. Dickens is very good creating these comic characters and these larger-than-life characters. Dombey and Son was written when the Industrial Revolution was in full swing, when railways were being developed. We have a lot of that in the 1840s in Victorian London. The painter Turner at the time was also concerned about industrialisation. He paints this steamship towing the old sailing ship into port. There's a lot about the modernity there, the positive and the negative. Florence's wet nurse, her husband works as a train driver, and trains feature strongly in this novel. At the time of its publication, Dombey and Son was a great success. It was selling up to 40,000 copies a month, whereas its nearest rival, Thackeray's Vanity Fair, was just selling 5,000 copies a month. Today, Vanity Fair is probably more esteemed than Dombey and Son. I would give Dombey and Son 5 stars without question. It's very good. Most of the books I've read by Dickens this year I've given 5 stars, apart from Oliver Twist, which was only a 4. But would I recommend this to you? If you haven't read any Dickens, I'd probably start with something different, like either Christmas Carol, because it's very short, or Great Expectations, because it's written in the first person and it's a lot easier to follow the narrative. But if you've read books like David Copperfield or Our Mutual Friend, then definitely have a look at Dombey and Son. It's a brilliant novel. It's a fantastic novel. It's Dickens at his peak. What should I read next? I do have Little Dorrit, which I haven't yet read. But can I take another 2 months of Dickens? We shall see. If you enjoyed this video, you can like and subscribe below, and I will see you on the next video. Diogenes. Where's Florence, Diogenes? Where's Florence?